Hello, good evening, YouTubers. It's me again, Tristan. Hello, I'm sorry it's been such a long time since I last made a video, but here I am, I'm back, and this video, in a way, is a continuation of videos that I have made before in the past. Now, you may remember, several videos ago, I made a video called Say No to No Offence, and that's a reoccurring theme, and I think it's a strand that's going to go through several of my videos, actually. This one tonight is going to be called Why People Say No Offence. I've got a few later ones in this series coming along, but this is tonight's video. Right, okay, now, in my previous video, I told people not to say no offence. Now, this video, as the title suggests, is about why they actually say it. Now, to explain this, I've got to use some analogies and comparisons. Right, now this is a book about cars. Now, let's go to one. Back in the 1970s, you may have noticed that there's all SUVs and off-roaders, you know, Chelsea tractors as they call them, they're everywhere. But back in the 1970s, they weren't everywhere. In fact, if you wanted a vehicle that was luxurious and would also supposedly go off-road, there was only one you could buy, and that was called the Land Rover. That was the only one in its market back in the 70s, and I'm just going to bring up a picture of it. I'll just find one now. No, it was the Range Rover, sorry. The Land Rover was the ordinary off-roader. It was the first of its kind, and it could go off-road. It was like the only one back then that could do it. The Range Rover. Oh, well, there isn't a picture of it here. Oh, well, bollocks for that, actually. Maybe there is. Here we go. There we go. The Range Rover, the only one of its kind back in the day. It was a new thing. A new phenomenon. Wow, you can have a luxurious car, but it has a big, tough exterior. It's both big, tough, and it's luxurious. And can go anywhere. It was unique. And it was a status symbol. Now they're everywhere, but that was the first of its kind. Thing is, it was rather expensive. A lot of people wanted one, but they couldn't afford it. So, what did they do? What to do? Well, several years later, a company called Matra produced this car. That is the Matra Rancho. Now, as you can see, it looks a lot like an off-roader. In fact, it wasn't an off-roader. It was actually an ordinary little hatchback, but they bolted a fiberglass ambulance compartment with big windows, raised the wheels a bit, and put a plastic body kit on it to make it look like an off-roader. Now, there was one reason why you buy one, and that is if you wanted a Range Rover, but you couldn't quite afford it. You would buy a Matra Rancho. Now, probably not a lot of you have heard of these cars, and those of you below a certain age will not have seen one. That's because there's hardly any left. They were badly built, they were crap, and most of them have rotted away. There's virtually none left. They are a very, very rare car. Most of them have been scrapped. They were shit. Now, you probably won't have heard of that car. However, a car I'm sure most of you will have heard of is the Porsche. We all like Porsches, don't we? Lovely cars, aren't they? Yeah. And the most popular Porsche is that one I'm looking at now. That is the 911 Turbo. The Porsche 911 Turbo. Hey baby, I got a Porsche. Yep, a Porsche. Chicks think you're hot with one of those. A lot of people want one. Yeah. One problem, those are very expensive. You see? They cost a lot of money. Not everyone can afford one. We all want one. Not everyone can afford one. Now, in the late 70s, Porsche produced this car. Can you see it? There it is. That is the 924. Now, it had a VW van engine. It had virtually no power. Most hot hatches these days are more powerful than that car. It had only 4 gears. You would buy it for one reason. You wanted the 911, but you couldn't afford it, so you bought that one, the 924. And you see, the Matra Rancho was the poor man's off-roader, and the 924 is the poor man's Porsche. Now, what does this have to do with people saying no offence? Now, as I said in my previous video, saying no offence is a form of bullying. You know, they want to be offensive,
and they should just come out and be offensive. When people insult you, say something nasty, what they are doing is bullying.
In school, you get bullies. You get bullies in school, unfortunately. People who are top dog. Thing is, being a bully means you've got to be quite big, and it means you might get a comeuppance. There's going to be a lot of rivals for the top spot. If you're a bully, people will fear you. They will fear you. Now, people that say no offence are people that wanted to be bullies in school, but weren't quite big enough. You see, just as the Matra Rancho was the poor man's off-roader, and just as the Porsche 924 was the poor man's Porsche, so, by the same token, people that say no offence are the poor man's bully. Blunt people are the poor man's bully. They are to the world of bullying what the Matra Rancho was to off-roading, and the 924 is to the world of Porsches. Now, the Porsche 924 is actually quite a good car, so it's quite unfair me saying this about it. The Matra Rancho, however, was shit and worthless. I wish, however, now there's only 10 on UK roads, I wish there was only 10 people that said no offence left in the UK. Unfortunately, there's a lot more of the bastards. Basically, it's people who want to be bullies, but are too gutless to take the consequences of bullying. Effectively, I don't know if any of you have ever seen the film Lethal Weapon 2.